you don't know how bad you have to audit until you start auditing, and you're like, oh crap, how did we not do this a long time ago?
Yeah, and the attorneys and the staff that are working the file is like, oh shoot, I missed that one. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, fix it. Let me go do this. Let me go do that. And it's like, so yeah,
Yep.
and Gerardo was one of our guys that was a VA from y'all, and we moved him around, here and there and everywhere, and he's, picked up a lot, and I found his nick, and this is his, this is what he likes doing, and he's good at this. He likes managing people, overseeing people, problem solver, a lot of people complain about VAs, blah 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 blah, whatever, right? But you just gotta find that what they like doing and what they can produce for you and how they can do it for you.
Perfect.
Perfect.
And we're gonna dive into that. Are we
Perfect.
passing it to you, Pawnees? You ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Hi, everyone. My name is Pawnees, and I work here at LegalSoft. We're so excited and so grateful that all of you guys took your time today to join. Today, we're going to learn about how building a successful law firm from 6 staff to 170 staff. Our guest speaker today is Deborah Garcia. She's the Business Operations Manager at Herman & Herman, and then VP of LegalSoft, Nathan Sumek. So we will go ahead and dive in. And I just want to say, if you guys have any questions that you guys want to speak about, go ahead and put them in the chat. We would love to answer any of the questions, any ideas, more of a panelist collaboration webinar, so we can answer all of your guys' questions. So who we are is a little backstory. So LegalSoft is a collection of legal industry practices. We're experts in managing hundreds of practices nationwide for virtual legal staffing, marketing. We cover all the 12 practice areas. We're trusted by 650 law firms, and we have 5 global offices in 5 countries. Today's speakers, wow. Today's speakers is Nathan. He currently serves as the co-founder and VP of operations at LegalSoft, which he helps significant legal firms by providing wraparound support from lead generating to staffing. And go ahead, Nathan.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Pawnees. And before I introduce Deborah Garcia, just like Pawnee said, this is definitely a panel system. We're here to talk about the topics that I think are important. You guys have Deborah Garcia on the line here. She's seen everything that you guys will see today and everything you guys will see in years from now. So if you have questions, go ahead and just drop them in the chat box, and we'll love to address them. And after this call, we'll have a little link, and you guys can schedule a call with myself, with Deborah, to get any questions you guys have. We 100% have the answers for you guys. We'd love to help you. And for guests who stay till the end, we have a very, very special surprise at the very end and a nice little giveaway. So stay till the end so we can show it to you guys. So thank you guys again for joining. And without further ado, I'd love to introduce Deborah Garcia. Whenever I met Deborah a few years ago, I got really close to her at a conference in the VIP room, where I learned that she was a part of Herman & Herman when they had 6 staff, and later was a part of the organization when they grew to over 200 staff. And she knew the key staff needed to grow. Whenever they're at 100 staff, the key staff needed to get to 200 staff, what positions they can pass out to be remote, what positions they want to keep in-house, and then some of the operational challenges that come up as well. And so when we started talking, I knew we had to co-host a webinar. I knew we had to get on the call together. And so, first, Deborah, thank you so much for making time for this and jumping on. I know you had a little bit of thing pop up today. And so we're going to jump onto this and dive into a little bit more about myself and Deborah Herman. Deborah Garcia from Herman & Herman. Next slide.
So
awesome.
Go ahead. So I'm going to give the introduction. So thank you once again for joining. So it's going to be for building a successful law firm from 6 staff to 170 staff, featuring Debbie from Herman & Herman and Nathan. In this webinar, we'll delve into the journey of scaling a law firm from a small team of 6 staff members to a thriving organization with over 170. We will explore the challenges they faced, the strategies that they employed, and their take takeaways and what they learned along the way. So these key factors that you guys can kind of put into your law firm. And then also, once again, any questions that come in your guys' mind, please feel free to put it in the question chat so we can answer. And further ado, we will get started.
And Pawnee, I'm going to answer some of the questions in the chat. And while I do that, if you can check on Deborah, I think her phone logged her out of it. If you could check on her with that. But I want to jump into some of these questions. Steve Wilson, I have your question here. Whenever we're talking about clients and them working with the virtual team over the remote team, I'll have Debbie answer this as well. But personally for me, a lot of things like following up on treatments, scheduling treatments, collecting medical records, or some of these basic tasks that you have within your organization, it takes your in-house team much longer to do than it does your remote team. And having a virtual staff who has 10 years of experience in customer service, I prefer them being able to do my task the same week or same month rather than waiting for an in-house team member to work on it and do it. So a lot of times, whenever the remote team comes in with perfect English and they have that customer service background, you almost don't even realize that it's overseas, and the satisfaction levels go significantly higher than your in-house team who may or may not have time to touch on all your cases weekly. So when it comes to the remote team, they seamlessly integrate. The real question then becomes how do they integrate with your local and in-house team, which Deborah has a whole slide on, because I know now that they have about probably close to 70 remote virtual team members. Integrating them with the local team was more of a challenge, which now is effortless. Awesome. Case management system. Hey, Sunny, great question. Case management system. We should have a whole hour slide on this. But Herman, I'm pretty sure is on FileVine, and it takes a little bit to get it set up. But if you have a question about case management, Sunny or anyone else, the few questions that you want to ask is how long will the implementation process take for your number of cases? Because sometimes you might want to see what that process is like. And then also the usability of using a case management software, if it's going to be CaseSpear, Clio, FileVine, one of those, which one will your firm adapt with the most? And so talking to our team who's implemented a few of these softwares, we can definitely guys help pick the right one. Awesome. Pawnee, you got Deborah back?
She's about to log in again. She got canceled out.
Cool. So let's dive into this until she joins and we'll get it going. One of the keys that really drove us having this webinar were Deborah was creating positions that a lot of firms didn't have within their organization. And these were creative positions that go above just beyond a legal intake, a case manager, or a remote attorney even. She was creating positions in the business development side that helped her operate a firm of 200 staff. And so we're going to list out the 4 positions that she created and set up that she's going to dive into. And the 4 key positions is first, the report assistants, team members who can drive and build reports on that FileVine and do the audit and do the audits on the reports. Second is an audit team. This is the organization who will audit every single case that comes in, how much time it took to collect medical records, if it's a minimum policy case, did it settle within 6 months, and a lot more. The med clerks, which I'll let her dive into.
Sorry, she's trying to connect to her Zoom still.
Okay. And the 4th position, Pawnees. Awesome. And a quality assurance team. One thing that we realized is whenever you have over 800 active cases and you survey your clients, you're going to see that 60% of your clients feel like they haven't gotten communicated with enough. And no matter how much you push on your busy case managers, it's going to be very hard to get them to communicate with your clients enough and settle cases on time. And so it's important that you have that second layer of team who can reach out to all of your current clients and make sure that being touched on, once every 2 weeks or once a month at least, and just finding out how the treatment is going, how the case is going, if they've been communicated with a case manager. And so kind of how that call would go with your audit team is they would each have a list of, let's just say, 70 to 120 clients. They'd each have a list of 70 to 100, the 70 to 120 clients, and they would touch base with them every 2 weeks or so, and just ask, how's your case going? And the client would respond, I haven't gotten communicated with, or I finished treatment. And this audit team's member job isn't to solve the issue, but really just to communicate with the clients. Awesome. Jenny, thank you so much for letting me know. I'm going to talk to your case manager, Sarah, and make sure we get that addressed for you. And they'll create an action list of items that your case manager should do and follow up to make sure that actually happens. And Pawnees, if you can monitor the questions that are coming in, if there's anything that comes up about the topic I'm talking about, you can address it or have me address it. Awesome. And yes, the slides will be available after the webinar. And Steve, I know you have a lot of questions. Feel free to list them out and write them out. And the best thing we can do is have a consultation with our team and go through all of them. But so guys, these are the 4 main positions that if you're at that 1,000 cases or you're at that 1,500 cases plus, these are the positions that you're going to want to dive into and learn more about that you can talk to our team and we can help you guys build. But you need to have the reports and you need to review the reports monthly. And these are the things that you guys know, right? The small cases should settle at the right time, auditing your team and making sure you have quality, reviewing phone calls, reviewing emails going out, all that needs to happen. Okay, Pawnees, ready for the next one? So whenever I talked and spoke to Deborah about integrating the virtual staff into the organization, and I said, hey, look, whenever you first got the virtual staff in, when you first got the virtual staff in, how did your team perceive this? Was your team excited? What did they think? And she said, no, absolutely not. It was a hard no. And they basically, the case managers and everyone came in the office and said, hey, look, if you continue this, we're out. And she was like, oh, shoot. And she basically still tested on the back. Go ahead. Wow, the celebrity's back.
Hi, guys. I'm so
Yay.
sorry about that.
No worries. We're going to wait here all day for you, Deborah. So Deborah, I'm just going about sharing all the stories that we talked about. If you go back one slide. So I spoke about the 4 positions that you've created in your firm, Deborah, about how a lot of large firms don't have this, and I touched on it pretty well. But if you want to touch on your favorite position here and just talk about the moment that it clicked for you, that why I had to have that team, and then we'll go on to the next one.
Okay. Reporters and honest team at clerks.
Which one was your favorite?
My favorite would be my audit. I guess it just started. It was quality assurance and audit team. It's between both of them right now. They are my behind the scenes kind of deal, that they help me monitor to where we're at with the teams that are working on the cases for our clients. There's, my audit team basically, which is I'm we just started this. We have maybe about a month working with them, that we created them, put them together, maybe a month and a half. And they're running my reports and checking on the employees, the case managers and med clerks, working on the files. And because we have our case management called FileVine, if it's not in FileVine, it doesn't exist and it didn't happen. So if it's not in there, and that's how we run our reports, based on information that is in
And
FileVine.
Deborah, that was so important. And I think you got to repeat it one more time. If it's not in FileVine, it didn't happen. I know firms who will settle a 7-figure case and it never went into FileVine. And the team goes, I tell them every day, put it in FileVine. What do you think did it that got your team to actually put it in FileVine? Is it the audit team? Is it just the management? What got them to actually do that?
A little bit of both. But now with the audit team that I've created, because it's just, you got to keep reminding them like, hey, you didn't put it in FileVine. Like, so-and-so client called, I'm not able to help her. Let's just say one day, that case manager, gets sick and is not able to come in. I can get somebody else to help the team out and have, the flow going. And I don't have anyone because she didn't put the stuff in FileVine like she's supposed to. So if a client calls in like, hey, I had a conversation with Jane in your office and she told me X, Y, and Z. And we're like, I don't know, because Jane didn't fill anything in here in FileVine. I don't even know that you called. Or if we have a client calling saying, hey, I called 3 times and no one's ever returned my phone call. It's like, well, I don't show that you called here 3 times.
And so you would, and basically just bringing that to light with the team and holding them accountable for it. It's like a lot of times that'll happen, but it's about bringing the team member on the call and saying, hey, look, this person's saying you didn't call them. You're saying you called them, but it's not a FileVine. So I got to trust whatever's here.
Yeah, no, perfect,
so
perfect example, Nathan. The other day I had one of my med clerks, she's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. The client was complaining. I'm like, no, you didn't do it. It's not in FileVine. Oh, no, I did. It's right here. And she starts pulling out sheets of paper. I'm like, no, ma'am, that is not the way we work. You know that. And it needs to be in FileVine. And I said, that's no good to me. That is no good to me. Yeah. So you can throw that paper in the trash because it's not good to me.
And a lot of attorneys are just busy and it's hard to do that. And so having that audit team that pulls that report and that can actually deliver all that to you weekly, so you can go and knock on their office and be like, hey, these are the 14 things that you didn't do. Oh, no, I did do it. Here's the papers that show I did it. No, you didn't do it. It's not a FileVine.
Exactly.
And your team has to get onto your process. And I think that's one of the key things for you. You never let up. It's like you have one amazing staff and they want to show you a piece of paper instead of FileVine. What do? Do you let that staff slip up, or are you holding them accountable and saying, it doesn't matter how amazing you are, we're not going to grow if you're going to be the bottleneck here?
Exactly. And that's what I'm trying to find as the bottlenecks. And I've told, my team leaders I have a team leader for audit team and the quality assurance, and they know that's what we're looking for are the bottleneckers. We're, at the end of the year, every firm needs to have a team players that are A team players. If you have a B team player, you have a C team player, get rid of them. And this is the only way you're going to get rid of them, by auditing of what they're doing. You have your quality assurance team making sure that they are taking care of your clients, because that's what my quality assurance team does. It's like, hey, we're checking in. How's your team helping you? Are they helping you? Are they not helping you? Are you going to your medical treatments? They're also checking up on the clients, making sure the clients are getting treated properly. And so,
Absolutely. And whenever you got started with all of this, I know a lot of firms that go up against adding virtual staff. What are some of the key things that you want to remind attorneys to enroll their staff in this? How can the main case managers or main attorneys communicate with their team that we're not replacing everyone with overseas staff, but we want to make your jobs easier? And there's a lot of stuff like mundane, repetitive tasks that you're not going to be doing every single day, and we want to level you up. how did you have those conversations? What were some of the main things you said?
The first time we brought in the VAs, yes, everybody was very much concerned. They're, like, hey, wait a minute, am I getting replaced? You're going to bring in these VAs. They had a lot of concerns with respect to that. But now they are loving their VAs. Even the attorneys are like, I have no problem with my VA. My VA, I'm in contact with them. I deal with them. I communicate with them. And communication is a big part of dealing with VAs. You've got to communicate with them, because if you don't, you're gonna, you're not gonna know what they're doing, what they're working on. I have VAs that are better than my in-house people. I can tell you that much. That's how good my VAs are.
Were they like that from the first? Were they like that from the first day, or they really became that way whenever you incorporated them in your firm? You got them in the training paralegal program, and you really built them up.
We've got to build them up. Some of them, some of them already come with knowledge, that they've been with other law firms that they've worked for in the past. So I love those that I don't have to babysit or not babysit, but like, get them, it's going to take them maybe about a good 60 to 90 days by the time they get it, versus someone who already comes knowledgeable, who's dealt with, other law firms in the USA. And sometimes we get lucky and we get those, but that's not very seldom when we do get those. But
yeah, and we're working on making that more of a standard. We're working on getting them all trained for about 2 months before we even pass them to you, so you can avoid that yourselves.
Yeah,
but also, but now you would say that your firm, they're all pro and happy, and say we need more virtual staff. They've all flipped sides.
Yes, there's still a couple of them that are, well, and those are the older, I call them the dinosaur people. You got to come into the new world. Come on, this is where we're going.
This is happening.
I mean, if you look, this is what my boss says all the time, Mr. Herman. You look at the unemployment rate, it's at full capacity right now, but you got Americans who don't want to work. I'm sorry, there's some people who don't want to work. The pandemic also, shifted us in a different direction, to where some of the people that were the working people are now found other jobs to work remotely, and they're not out there looking for a job, or started their own business. Some of them started their own business because they needed to figure out how to work. And so leaving us with having to go virtual with virtual assistants, and they're doing a great job, especially the ones I get from you.
And Deborah, we have a question that I think it's good to address across the board for all practice areas, not just personal injury. And you could just leave this, don't worry about talking about the screen here. But whenever we talk about delegating tasks to a virtual assistant, I feel like you got it down to a science. The second you can identify that this is a virtual assistant task, you're like, ding, we gotta get a virtual staff for this. And you've done that for a lot of positions that a lot of firms think there's no way I can assign this to someone overseas. What is it for you that you go, what kind of distinguishes a task as a virtual assistant task? And how can firms identify what can they pass off to virtual assistants?
Everything can be done as long as they got the computer. And of course, we switched over to Zoom, so our phones could be via Zoom, and all our virtual assistants can be able to answer a call. They can get calls transferred to them. They can make phone calls via Zoom. So they don't need a phone. They just need a computer and download the app, and we'll walk them through, get their Zoom on there, and we're able to communicate with them. I can call a VA right now. They can, be in the Philippines, and I'll call them up, and that's I have a couple of VA assistants that are mine that run reports, and I'll call them up and say, hey, Elizabeth, I see that you sent out this email, but we're looking at X, Y, and Z, and like she'll answer the call. I have Monolito who'll answer the call, or they'll call me. He's like, hey, Deb, I don't know if you've seen my email, but I need an answer on this. They're able to communicate with us. Now, the one thing that, they can't do is they can't send out your mail. They can't make copies. They can scan. But guess what? You can get a file clerk and hire a file clerk in-house to open up the mail, scan the mail, mail out, the packages that need to be mailed out. That's it. Mail clerk's not going to cost you that much money. And it's cost you probably less as well.
I called an attorney the other day, and I was basically like, how are you having the virtual staff run your entire practice? He said, I hired assistants in the office for my virtual staff. So I have in-house team members that basically assist my virtual team members to help operate a lot of the firm and things like that.
Yes.
Because the virtual staff that you have that have been there for 2-3 years, they get it. They're moving fast, and they just need a few things done locally. And so you just get them those admin assistants to help them push things through.
Yes. And that's what I've done.
And and now, for growing law firms, let's say they have 2-3 attorneys, or they have five attorneys, and now they're looking to grow. What are some key things that they have to remember? I know whenever we spoke earlier, these are some of the notes that you brought up, that's important for them to have. But just like, as you go on, as you remember, a few years back when you guys were growing, what are some key things that attorneys need to know as they're growing their virtual team and they're incorporating their virtual staff? What are some important key things?
Communication. I cannot stress to you the communication that they've got to have with their VAs, the onboarding process, the training, get a trainer. And that's, once you start, I was growing so fast, the firm was growing so fast that I didn't have trainers, and I had to establish trainers to train VAs and to train the in-house staff. And I'm up to 2 trainers right now, but obviously I need more trainers. So I will be getting more trainers. In the beginning, before I had an in-house trainer, I actually had med clerk leads, case manager leads, and some of my med clerk leads were virtual assistants who were training the in-house people as well. So
because the virtual assistants, they come from a background of working in corporate work environments where it's all extremely structured, not as much as like law firms are, where they have experience going through 3 years of training programs and having structured, standard operating procedures. And so whenever Deborah says, hey, when a new client comes in, do this, then do this, then do this, for them, their brain doesn't work where it's like, okay, let me do this task and then ask Deborah the next question. It's let me list these things out so Deborah never has to ask me again. And then next time someone comes in, I can just give them the list I already made. And that's what they call a standard operating procedure. And so whenever Deborah goes, hey, can you train this person? They've already made a custom training guide because that's what they're accustomed to.
yes.
I remember, Deborah, can you share the funny story you told me about how you gave someone that HR manual and he said, hey, can you make this thing pretty? And they gave you back a work of art.
Oh my God, that was amazing. Yes. All these years, because we've grown so fast over the years that, our manual, our handbook was just a regular, run of the mill, just black and white copy. Here you go. Here's our manual, Herman manual. Here you go. Handbook. And I had a VA, right? And she's my admin assistant, Elizabeth. I love her. And I said, hey, Elizabeth, we made some changes. These are the changes I made. You need to switch the pages, because now it moved, blah, blah, blah. I said, but can you make it pretty? It's just, like we've grown, we're no longer 6 people. This is a manual that we've had like since we started, I was like, make it nice and pretty for me. So she went in and by the end of the day, she had it back to me, and she had the Herman emblem, the watermark emblem. It was just really nice, color coded. She did a phenomenal job just sending it back and making it look nice and pretty. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. It's, I didn't have to waste my time doing that. I was like, here, like, she took care of it.
And that happens because whenever you hire someone locally, their experience is what's on the resume. I think I worked at this firm, worked on that firm, and they've done more or less the same things. When you're hiring someone overseas, their experience is working for Amazon, MasterCard, T-Mobile, AT&T, where it's not kind of a casual business owner who never went to business school or anything like that. The remote team, the overseas team, have been trained far beyond what the average person gets trained on by their 30s. So whenever you assign them a task, it gets done extremely well, and I'm so glad that worked out for you there.
Yeah, very professional. They're very IT savvy, is what I can tell you guys. They know their Google Docs. They know Excel. They know the art canvas and all that kind of good stuff and everything. And I just don't have time for that, to mess with it. It's like, give it to my VA, let her do it. Hey, this is what I have. This is what I need. Make it nice and send it back to me. So.
And Debbie, you want to do a few Q&A sessions, a few Q&A questions really quick?
Sure.
So we'll dive into some of these questions. And guys, if you guys have questions, go ahead and list them out here. Anything regarding hiring 1 or 2 staff, or a whole lot more on the tools and resources. Steve Wilson is asking, are VAs serving as case managers as well as helping with the admin of selling cases in terms of requesting, managing the final payments through accounting? Yeah.
Yes. They're not settling cases. We don't let any of our staff settle cases. The attorneys do that. But yes, our case managers and med clerks, they request all the records. They send out demands, and you can send out demands via email. You can fax them. I know, like, our computer, you're able to fax as well through our computer, so we're able to fax the demands. So sometimes they don't even need to be mailed out because they're faxed over. And as long as you tell your med clerk to get them to follow up the following day to make sure that the adjuster received their demand. So you want to have implement those kind of things for your med clerk to do. And yes, they put cases into accounting, and they do the settlement calculator, what we call in FileVine. They also upload the documents into what we call in FileVine our breakdown tab. So our accounting team can go and be able to do the breakdown and write the check out for the client. So
Perfect. And I think this is a great question that we should actually address from Clarence. Can you walk us through, Deborah, from whenever a lead comes in all the way up to kind of settlement? What parts are you guys using virtual staff for, or can you use virtual staff for?
Yes. I'm not in charge of the intake department. That is more of our marketing director who does that. And she's got a manager under her, a lead person under her. But intake, we call them ambassadors of first impressions. So we used to call them intake specialists, but now they're ambassadors of first impression, because, they are the first impression that is received by our potential new client. So they have a script. They take the call. They know how to sign up the client. Everything is done via text message or their computer. They walk them through the contract. They explain the contract to them. The object, our goal is to not hang up the call with the client until they have signed the contract. And these are in AFIs that are VAs that are doing this job. We even have VAs that are receptionists. And I can't, stress to you how many VA receptionists we have, because you don't want to miss a call. You don't want to miss a call. And
I called the firm. I called the firm the other day, and I hit like 3 voicemails, 3 auto receptionists, 3 alert communications, and I could barely even get to the attorney. And I trying to have a case with them. So yeah, do you recommend having like an alert communications, or are you just going to in-house VA who answers and actually addresses the problem?
Yes, no. We used to have alert. We're no longer have alert. We have all VAs answering the calls 24/7.
Yeah, can you like some law firms who don't have the 24/7 of a decent size, missing out on so much for the low cost of having just a remote team. Awesome. Okay, sorry to interrupt you. So you have the intake staff, remote, and then you go on, and then what? And I'm sure you guys also have the remote team opening up new claims, correct?
Yes, that's the case managers that open up the new claims. As soon as the VA intake takes the contract, they sign them up, they submit them to what we call a potential new client email that we have set up, that's streamlined, and they tell us, potential new client was in a car accident, 18-wheeler, death, accident, whatever it was. Then I have my VA, Elizabeth. She actually assigns the cases, because we assign the cases to our pre-lit attorneys, and she has a beautiful Excel spreadsheet, and we keep count of how many attorneys have cases, and based on their case count, based on their time on desk report. If they're doing poorly, we're not going to assign a case to an attorney who's doing poorly on their time on desk report. So we pull all those reports in order to determine who is going to get the cream of the crop on these cases that are coming in. So
you have a VA who's identifying who's the best fit for a case and assigning the cases. You train the heck out of them, huh? Wow.
Yes. Yeah. And so she knows, based on that report, based on other things, who settles the most cases and a little bit faster and makes more money for us. Those are the ones that are going to be getting the cream of the crop. They get the cases, they get assigned those cases. The VA does that. And if there's a difficult case, when a death case comes in, an 18-wheeler, serious injuries, she will consult with me and with boss regarding those accidents, and then we'll tell her who to assign them, or we'll assign them ourselves. But your regular car accidents, she usually does those for us. So
awesome.
So they get assigned, and once they get assigned by our VA, they go to a case manager that is in-house. And some of the case managers are VAs as well. So they get the file, they contact the client to be able to communicate with the client, let them know like, hey, my name is Wendell. I am from Jonathan's team. Jonathan is your attorney. I'm your case manager. Your med clerk is Jane, and we are your team that's going to be helping you out throughout your case. At that time, Wendell will, I'm just using Wendell because Wendell is one of our case managers that's a VA. He'll speak with the client, get any and all additional information that we may need for the case, set up the client for treatment, send out an LOR, and start working on the property damage if the property damage needs to be done, get the client into a rental if the client needs a rental. And then
it goes all the way from the pre-litigation to collecting medical records to drafting demands. In-house team reviews the demand. It goes out.
Right.
And then how are you guys leveraging virtual staff on the litigation side?
So we also have VAs in our litigation department as well that help out. And I've got some VAs that are, I think it's Danny that's doing really great. He's answering discovery. We have some of our VAs are attending a paralegal program that I started about 2 years ago because there was a drought in paralegals, and paralegals cost a lot of money. Nowadays, you can't find a good paralegal for under 75. They all want 75 and above a year. So and that's very, it's a lot of money. And if you have a lot of cases and yeah.
And the best thing that, when we talk about the staff and having it being expensive, besides that, on top of all of that, is if you can hire 2 virtual staff instead of 2 additional in-house team members, you save yourselves like $8,000 a month on cost overhead, and you can reallocate that towards your in-house team members. You can bonus them for job well done, and also give them the promotion so they don't have to do the repetitive same day tasks. So it really helps your in-house team member get paid more, not have to do the repetitive tasks, and your whole firm run much smoother.
Yes, we have incentives for all our staff, even our VAs. They all get incentivized, starting with the med clerks, and the AFIs as well. The intake specialists, AFIs, they get they're on it. As long as they sign up cases, they get incentivized, they get a really nice bonus. The med clerks get, the object of the game is to get a demand out, right? So we pay them $10 per demand that they push out. We pay them the case managers, object of the game is to get the settlement check in, right? Sometimes the case gets settled and then people forget, or the attorney, they move on to the next case and they forget about the settlement. So what we do is, like, once you settle a case, that settlement check should be in the office within 10 days. And actually within 5 days, if you ask me, and then an additional 5 days to go into accounting. So within 10 days from the date that we received the settlement check, from the date of settlement, 10 days thereafter, that file needs to be in accounting. And if they're able to make that marker, then they get a bonus. They get $10 for each case they put into accounting within 10 days from the date they settled the case.
Wow, we're gonna clip that. I think firms will pay $100 and they can get the check in and settled within that 10-day frame.
Yeah,
and you have that.
And it can be
have
done.
that virtual staff auditing that.
Yeah.
Tell me, how can it be done?
Yeah, we have Manolito runs those reports for me, my other VA assistant. And he, and then he turns them into payroll when it's payroll time, and they get, added those bonuses into payroll. Or if they're LegalSoft, we give them to LegalSoft, and LegalSoft gives it to them.
Yes, awesome. And there's some other questions here we'll dive into. What do you guys use for document collection? It's mainly you guys use FileVine, and then you guys it's a lot of outbound call and emails, but then you're tracking how long it takes to collect those documents, right?
Yes. In FileVine, FileVine is just a big old monster. You can do anything and everything you can. I'm not here to promote FileVine either, but I love FileVine. We used to have Needles, and after we got introduced to FileVine, I think we were maybe one of the top 5, if not maybe the second or third person who bought into FileVine when FileVine just came out. So since FileVine has been out, they have grown tremendously because they're like super smart and they know a lot of stuff. Anyway, but in FileVine, you can create a report as long as you have it implemented into FileVine, like the first date of treatment, the last date of treatment. That is why you need your audit team to find out, okay, last date of treatment was on this day, this accident happened. A regular car accident for a client to treat, the case should settle within 3 months. If the client went to pain management, got pain management shots, a series of shots, things like that, you're looking at 6 months. So why is it taking the team longer than the 3 months or the 6 months period? And in Filevine, we've incorporated a where you plug in the dates of the first date of treatment, the last date of treatment, the first date of treatment for pain management. If they need an ortho appointment, when was their ortho appointment? So we can navigate that. The audit team is trained to navigate that and look at that and report back to me. Okay, this is, what we found out, and these people need to be already switched over, and they need to be under gathering records instead of just treating, because in Filevine, there's phases, right? And if you're not changing the phases, and you're going to have staff doing this because they don't want to see a case under gathering records, because that means they're going to have to work on the case. They'd rather leave it under treating, because you really can't do anything under treating until they're done with it,
Absolutely. Yep.
Case management
Absolutely.
system software is Filevine. I think Daniel was asking about that. Filevine is a case management system.
Awesome. I know we have about 10 minutes left, so there's a few more slides I want to go over, and we'll do another 5 minutes of Q&A. And so just one question on this slide. For implementing, I think you're the pro and master at implementing the efficient softwares and workflows and different things. And you don't have a background. I mean, do you have a background in computer science? I don't think so. Not really, right? No. But you've built out some amazing workflows and systems, and you kind of took it upon yourself. For those individuals who don't have an experience in just building out automations, what's your tip and trick for firms to build out efficient workflows and processes that their team can actually follow that isn't too complicated?
We have workflows and processes. We have all our processes documented, and they're in God, what is the name? I just drew a blank. It is called let me get back to it on this one here. I'll tell you exactly what it's. Touchstone. That's the name of it. Touchstone Business Systems. And in Touchstone, you are able to document all your processes. And the beauty about Touchstone is you can upload all your forms. You can upload videos on how to do a special Touchstone, not Touchdown, but yeah, Touchdown too. Touchstone Business Systems.
Awesome. Cool. And you just list everything out there, and your team can go in there, view it, see it.
Exactly. You give them access.
It.
So med clerks, they get access to everything that's under med clerks, and they have their job duties of everything they have to do, from, starting a new case, and then all the way down. So we don't have to repeat ourselves, and it makes our training even easier as well. But we do give them a training, in-house training, or via virtual, via Zoom, if they're not here with us. And we also give them manuals. So our Touchstone basically does that. Oh, and we use ClickUp as well. And we store some of our videos in ClickUp, and we send these videos to the attorneys, like how to open up Zoom, how to set up your Zoom, how to log in to your computer the first time, how to work a settlement breakdown tab. We have different recordings where, yes, that is correct, Touchstone Business Systems. And you'll love Touchstone Business System. You have to put in the work for it, but it's amazing once you have it all down, because you can just tell your staff, you know, they come to you and they knock on your door like, hey, what do I do if this happens? How do I do this? Like, okay, go to Touchstone. You have Touchstone, right? Go to Touchstone. You know, they
Yeah,
don't
so you
need to be
can't just
bothering, they don't need to be bothering you. They don't need to be bothering the neighbor next door next to them, because, you know, if they interrupt someone, do you know how long it takes back to get back into the groove that you were working on? They're taking time off from your other employee that's trying to get out that 10 demands that they were requested of her for that week, you know? And you got this one person that still can't get it. And it's like, go back to Touchstone, you know, go back to Touchstone and look at it. You know, everything you need is in Touchstone.
I feel like you say touchstone 15, 20 times a day.
Yes, Touchstone.
Awesome. And Deborah, give me 1 minute on, you know, what does the future of Herman Herman look like with your involvement? What are you guys looking to incorporate? What are some future things you guys want to implement with the virtual staff? Tell us a little about the future of Herman Herman.
Hiring more VAs.
Solution to everything.
That is the solution to everything. Somewhat to our overflow as we grow. I'll never look back. Yes, we do need in-house people, but you know, you cannot have too many VAs. You have to remember situations happen with Americans. You know, I got people that are pregnant, you know, it happens, you know, people want to have families. I got a VA already backing up that person that's going to be out on maternity leave. So
Absolutely.
you have to think in the future and what you're going to need and what your firm's going to need. And if hiring 5 floaters, you know, I highly recommend that you get floaters, because there's always going to be someone wanting to snake your employee regardless. And they're, oh, I'm going to get paid more money over here, or, you know, whatever the reason is that the employee is leaving, you know, they come up with, I got more money over here, or they get in a fight with somebody, you know, in the office, you know, it happens, you know, there's a lot of women in the office. And, you know, they're gone, and they don't give you a 2-week notice. You know, who gives you a 2 weeks notice nowadays? It's very unlikely you get a 2 weeks notice. So now you're stuck with no one, and now your team is falling behind. You can't have that. You've got to be ready. You've got to be ready. So I've made it a custom to have backups, and even my backups are helping those other teams that are. So I'm using my backup floaters to help teams that are falling behind. And for whatever reason they're falling behind, you know, I'm giving them help. But once they're needed somewhere else, I'll pull them and put them, you know, from that person that left us with no 2 weeks notice. And I'll pull them like, hey, now you're the top case manager for this team because this person left us.
I'm imagining you just grabbing 3, 4 people and putting them to a whole different department, like physically grabbing them. I can imagine that, and I think that's so cool how you do that. Nothing slows down in your office. I think if there's a wall that comes up for Herman and Herman, you're the first one there knocking it down and getting things done. And I think, you know, I'm so excited to see and continue to see you guys go from 200.
Yeah, I have to, Nathan. I got, you know, Greg Herman, you know, screaming in my ear. It's like, yes, boss. Yes, boss. I'm on top of it. I'm on top of it, getting it in there. So it's like drilled in my head that I've got to have backups. You got to. You cannot function your office of 170 plus employees without having the assistance that you need. Yeah.
Because things happen.
Things happen. You know, you got to prepare for the unexpected.
And at the same time, we're gonna go through the last few things here. If you guys want, if people on the call, if you guys want support and, you know, be able to work and collaborate the same way Debbie and I have to build their infrastructure, you know, you can always contact our team at LegalSoft, and we're gonna go over a slide. You guys can take a picture of it, and we'd love to dive into this with you guys. We've done this with about 750 law firms. We're the largest virtual staffing agency, and we all have experience working within law firms and growing some of the biggest law firms here in Los Angeles. And so staffing and the marketing and all of that, we can help you guys with. We've been doing this for about 10 years now. And as a special offer for everyone on this call, we don't usually do this, but we're offering $1,000 off your first month to try the virtual staff. And so if you scan this barcode right here, if you pull out your cell phone, open up your camera app, and you scan this barcode here, you can unlock that $1,000 off claim. Even if you're a current client and you want to try a different virtual staff, you can do that here. There's also a link in the chat that you can do that here with. Debbie, have you guys tried the remote attorneys before?
Have I tried what?
The remote attorneys, the overseas attorneys yet?
I have only one of them. I have one.
Yep.
I'm not too happy.
They're the new.
I won't disclose. It's not through LegalSoft. I won't disclose who that was. So I'm not that excited about that attorney.
I think I know. I think we spoke about it. But we
Yeah.
now have remote attorneys. They do about 2 months. They do 2 months of training before they're placed with us. We actually just released .com. And so we place about 30 to 40 remote attorneys every single month. These are attorneys in different countries who are trained in US law. And we have firms hiring 3, 4, 5 at a time to assist their attorneys who cost $400 or $500 an hour. You get an assistant for like $12 an hour, $13 an hour. It's insane. So go ahead and claim this. And we're gonna move on to the next slide. And I know there's a lot of questions in the chat. We'll stay on after if you guys have questions. I've spoken to probably about 600 firms about this. If you have questions, throw them in the chat and we'll address them. And one more special announcement is our CEO will be speaking at MLA Live with Sam Malai, his event with My Legal Academy. And if you use this code, you get $500 off. This event is special. They'll be talking about how to implement AI into your law firms, and then also how to build a 7-figure firm. Sam Malai has taught me a lot about that I know about automation and workflows and things. So if you haven't yet checked out My Legal Academy and their event, it's in the chat here. Click on that and check it out. We highly recommend it. Awesome. And then this is here if you guys want to get a book on how to scale your stupid law firm. It's here. Everything we talked about, tips, tricks, it's all in there. You got to scan that. Deborah, any last notes? Please talk about the print and mail service you said you'd allow. So print and mail service. Harold, I'll address this for you. We actually are releasing a print and mail solution that allows you guys to forward your mail to a address, and then that address will scan all your mail and upload it into your Dropbox or your FileVine or the different areas. And then the VAs can also print. They can also, so if they want to send a letter out or mail it, they send it to that same location, they print it, mail it, and ship it. So now you can have a completely virtual office. You can scan mail and it's all virtual. You can print mail and even checks. We can now even print checks from the law firm and from their routing number, from the bank account, and we can actually add checks in there too. So there's really nothing left that virtual team members can't do, and we could talk about that. You guys have more questions?
I do have questions for you on that, because that's my last thing is getting VAs into the accounting department. And I had,
yes,
so I will definitely will talk to you later offline about that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things was they have to mail it. Oh, go ahead, Shai.
There was just one question in the chat. Well, there was a few. I'll just read them out because I know you guys are conversating. But we got one question for Debbie. It said, what made you end up choosing LegalSoft as a staffing partner, and how is your experience with them different from other companies?
Okay, so LegalSoft, I was introduced to LegalSoft through PILMA. We are PILMA members, and we found LegalSoft. We started off with probably like 2 VAs, I think, in the beginning. And because of their quality of the work that comes from them, they give me a video of the employee that they recommend. I tell them what I need. They send me a video and they send me a resume. of that employee. And I was able to get good quality work from a LegalSoft. We do use also some other companies as
Agencies.
well. Yeah, I just won't name them because it's not, professional to do that since this is LegalSoft. But I can tell you that I do like LegalSoft better for my case management, my paralegals, and for med clerks. I will definitely use them and get them because they come better qualified, is what I can tell you. They're better qualified staff. They know FileVine because I know Nathan, they do in-house training as well before they come to me. So before they come to our firm.
Awesome. And we love working with Herman and Herman. I mean, they're so fun, so cool. We've connected them with a few of our law firms, and they get, like, I don't know how many referrals you guys have gotten from firms that we referred you guys. But running after I saw their infrastructure, we just referred a lot of our bigger firms who want to refer cases out to Herman and Herman, and so you guys are crushing it too. So it's great to work with firms just like you guys as well, Debbie.
Right.
And just for the booking link that we sent in the chat, so that link is going to expire, I believe, in maybe 2 days. So for you guys to cash in that $1,000 off of any of your virtual staff for the first month, make sure you just click that link and book a time. There should be a bunch of times available on the calendar. So go ahead and do that. And then Nathan also put his email and phone number in the chat if you guys have any specific questions regarding the webinar.
Yes,
and that's my personal cell phone. Oh, go ahead, Debbie, please.
Yeah, I know there was somebody who asked about the case count per case manager. Again, we case manager, med clerk, they all have one case manager, one med clerk, and then the attorney. And the average is about 120 cases per attorney, per pre-lit attorney. And the top 3 attorneys in our pre-lit department, depending on their time on desk report, they get about 140 cases. So
Yep, and that's with the virtual staff's help, which allows them to do more cases.
yes.
One other question for you. It says, there are times I want to pleading in hard copy so I can file it in a local court. Is there a good way to have the virtual assistant print on the printer in my office? Or how do you guys go about that?
I can address that. Absolutely. That is super easy nowadays, Harold. There's so many ways you can address that, especially if you just tell your IT person, I want someone from another country to print. They'll set that up for you. Your printer and your Wi-Fi has an IP address. And so even if they just do like a remote desktop, they can just have a remote desktop to a computer in your office. And if you just print whatever they want from the remote desktop, they can basically control your computer, Harold, or just a laptop next to you. And the same way you print, they could print leveraging a computer in your office. So a $200 laptop, set it aside, connect it to a printer, and your problem is solved. Cool. Sunny, we got you. We'll have Steffi answer that question for you. And everyone, if you guys have topics you guys want to go over, and you guys want to bribe Deborah Garcia to help you guys and do that with your firm, let us know. We'll connect you guys with Deborah. And we're going to send an email after this with the deck, a recording of this, and then also access to get that $500 off for the MLA conference, and then also access for the $1,000 off the virtual assistant, which will expire in the next 2 days. And so you guys will have all of that in an email. I made anonymous attendee. I'll answer your question really quick. One amazing thing with working with LegalSoft is if you're not happy with the virtual assistant, you get them replaced. We don't want you guys having a bad virtual assistant. If you don't like them, you let us know. We replace them for you guys right away. And all of our attendees, I think one of the biggest things also is our retention. We have a 97% retention rate with our virtual staff. We have we have health insurance, spouse health insurance, retirement plans. We have some pay delays. So about 96% of all our virtual assistants are giving us a 2-week warning at the minimum before they're leaving. And so at that time, we can negotiate, fix, solve, replace, and make sure it's a seamless process. Which at the end of the day, that helps so much more than even hiring people directly or anything like that.
Yes, and
Awesome.
I just want to add to that, if you have a virtual assistant that's not performing up to par on your end, immediately let LegalSoft know. They can control the issue and talk to the VA. It's just like a regular in-house employee that you have. If you're having issues with them, you give them a warning. You tell them like, hey, these are your issues. These are the concerns that the team is having. You need to fix this, or, like they're going to replace you. It's just like a regular employee. And I go straight to LegalSoft and I tell them, and by the time you know it, they're fixing their stuff and they're doing outstanding. I had a perfect example of one of them, and my attorney complained about her. I called LegalSoft. Next thing you know it, I call the attorney back up 2 weeks later. It's like, I said, hey, are we going to replace her? What are we doing? And she's like, no, she's doing great. She's doing her stuff. Don't leave her alone. I want her, keep her. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I guess LegalSoft did their work, and LegalSoft was on top of it. So, and no issues and no complaints. And it's been already about a good 2 months thereafter. So she's still, trust me, these attorneys, they want to make money. Everybody wants to make money. So they're not going to sit there and say, oh, this VA is not working out for me. They're going to tell me immediately if they're not working out for them, because it's in their best interest.
And Deborah, if anybody wants to connect with you or have a call with you, are you available for that? Should we include your email in the email we send out to people?
Yeah, go ahead and send them my email. I don't have a problem.
Okay, Clarence, we'll send you over Deborah's email so you can reach out to her. She's probably going to become famous and super busy after this webinar, but definitely reach out to her. Awesome. Okay, bunnies.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for everyone who joined. Thank you, Debbie, and thank you, Nathan. I hope this was valuable insights for all of you guys. Just like how Nathan said, we'll send an email with this recording, the deck you guys can share with other attorneys, anyone who we think will kind of benefit from this. We'll send you for the MLA My Legal Academy conference, the $1,000 voucher for your VA for the first month. And then we'll also provide you guys with Deborah's email address. So if you guys want to meet with her on the side, get any consultations, learn more about what they do at Herman & Herman, and then also with Nathan as well for any consultations here at LegalSoft. Thank you all so much. It was a pleasure. And I hope you guys have an amazing weekend and basically all of your guys' wishes come true for your guys' law firms.
Right.
Thanks, bunnies.
Bye,
Deborah,
everyone.
I wish you all the best. Thanks for doing this with me.
Thank you so
Bye.
much, Nathan. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.